right, man. Let's talk about Ryan Garcia. Do official review video of him getting defeated by Romero. Rolly did a lot of great things in that particular fight. He boxed well. He was patient. Uh, he fought a hell of a fight. Ryan Garcia, you could say he couldn't find a rhythm. He couldn't find. No, he didn't trust. He didn't trust his chin. He didn't trust his conditioning. And that's what you get when you on that shit. You know what I'm saying? And some people could say, well, I really didn't see a difference. And of course, you can't see the difference to the naked eye. Even to the great eye, most people don't want to see a difference. That's the difference. Most people don't want to see the difference. The difference was there. The left hook, he didn't throw it with confidence. He didn't throw it a lot. His output was down. All that's it's basically like if you running a marathon and you don't feel like you prepared, you're gonna pace yourself. And it's one thing to pace yourself, but to underpace yourself, you don't know if you got the juice to make it through the 12 rounds. So he paced himself. He didn't even feel confident enough. And some of this had to do with Rolly's power too. He didn't even feel confident enough, even before Rolly dropped him, to really finish the rounds off strong and try to steal rounds. That's the crazy thing about it. He didn't even feel strong enough to finish rounds off and try to steal rounds. I think his conditioning was that bad. Or he really didn't trust, how he was training. And, like I continue to say, there's a huge difference when you start to talk about, taking performance enhancing drugs and not taking them. And there you go. One thing is the mental aspect of it where, I don't have the PEDs, how am I going to perform? And you see how he performed. He underperformed, couldn't do nothing with Rolly. And it was there. It wasn't like it wasn't there. He could have jabbed and it looked like under Derek, his footwork, his balance is better. His footwork is better. Derek was telling him the right things. Use the jab, break him down with the jab, touch the body with the right hand. He didn't do any of that. And what Rolly did, Rolly stuck to the plan. It was a lot of growth in Rolly. And then it's also the mental aspect of it. He know why he picked Rolly. He said, well, Pitbull Cruz can knock Rolly out. I can knock Rolly out. That was the thing about it. This was a true tune-up. And what he didn't account for when Rolly was telling the truth, said, I should have been moved up years ago. This weight move should have happened years ago. And you can physically look at Rolly. He looked strong in there. Legs were strong. You know what I'm saying? Back, arms were strong, back was strong. Everything was strong with Rolly in there. And now, Rolly threw the patience in there. The patience was, waiting for the, using the jab, touching the jab to the body. You know what I'm saying? Being able not to feel like he had to overcommit. And, maybe if Ryan would have just moved his hands a little bit more, we would be having a different conversation. Maybe if Ryan would have moved his hands, but he didn't. Ryan did not move his hands. He could have stole some rounds, but when you scared about what's coming back and if your ability to take and you scared your ability to run out of gas, only thing worse that could have happened to him if he got knocked out last night. That's the only thing that could have worked. His conditioning, he didn't trust it. And Rolly didn't break a sweat because Ryan never pushed the pace. Ryan never pushed the pace. Ryan never put the pedal to the metal because he was scared he couldn't take the punch and he was scared his conditioning was going to fail him. When you confident in how you train, you're not worried about your conditioning. You're not worried about your conditioning. When you confident in how you trained and your preparation and being prepared, you're not worried about that. And unfortunately for Ryan Garcia, he was worried about it. Mouth was open. He wasn't throwing punches with authority. He wasn't throwing punches as sharp. He wasn't throwing punches no volume. None of that. So if he'd been leaning on drugs for a very long time, which the rumor of the street, he has been leaning on drugs for a very long time, there you have it. When you don't have it, you don't know how your body gonna perform. Real talk. And what happened when your body get to leaning on something and it's not there no more? It started to burn resources that you need, vital resources that you need. So it might start burning, too much water. It might start burning too much muscle, which is water for the most part. Um, you know, so it started to look for that drug that you was taking, and when it can't find that drug, and that could be it's something that's the extra creatine you put in your body, anything, and it can't find it. So it got to burn it from another resource, and usually it's not a petty resource. It's usually something vital that your body needs. One of the worst things your body can burn off is the muscle. The muscle is very important. Never, just take shit that you need really all the time, like fat and all that other shit. But you could tell there's a difference in his performance. I could tell the difference with Derrick James. He looked a lot better. He looked a lot more balanced. His punches come off a little bit more hotter. I mean, he threw a couple right hands, in the fight. I think a few of them landed sharp. They look pretty good. Had he believed in his conditioning, had he believed in himself, that jab was there all night. He could have controlled Rolly with a jab. He could have controlled Rolly with a jab. But Ryan historically don't throw a jab, even though Derrick then showed him how to, throw the jab the right way and how to shoot the right hand right off that jawline, how to shoot it. When he throw it, it's vital. But Ryan Garcia is missing key aspects of boxing: how to put punches together, how to set up the left hook, how that right just throwing that 1-2 can set up that left hook to the head, or 1-2 left to the body. He liked to lead off a lot, and Rolly took that away. I mean, Ishmael Salas, you could say he outcoached Derrick James, but Derrick James didn't come in there with 4 quarters. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come in with a whole dollar. He came in there with making a whole holla. He came in that bitch with 25 cents instead of 4 quarters. And Ryan Garcia wasn't himself. People say, well, he looked this. No, he didn't. Confidence was gone. PEDs give you confidence. The left hook, it didn't, he didn't throw it like he was supposed to throw. The punch output was down because you know what? He didn't trust the conditioning. His mouth was open, and it was open versus Haney a little bit. Maybe that might be just the thing he do with his mouth guard, but he didn't trust the conditioning. Now, when you got them steroids in your ass, you feel like you could walk through a wall. Now you got to make weight. Now your opponent y'all got the same weight cut. Y'all got to make weight. Now that minute in the corner starting to feel like a minute or slightly less than a minute. Before, when you taking all that shit in your ass, that minute feel like 3 minutes. That's how you're recovering. You're recovering faster, stronger. You're more resilient. You can take a punch better. Your body is rebounding. That lactic buildup, that buildup in the muscles, it don't build up as fast no more. You ain't got to worry about the stiffness coming or the cramps coming, or when you running, you feel your legs starting to get tight. Don't worry about that shit, and it started to get tight. In between rounds, that minute start feeling like 3 minutes. They get right back loose. If I could throw the same, I kept telling you on the beginning, if I could throw that same left hook with the same sharpness, the same authority, the same speed from round 1 to round 12, that's an advantage. When you natural, you ain't throwing punches at the same speed and with the same authority. That was one of the things that raised concerns for Manny Pacquiao. A lot of these people throwing the punches at the same speed, the same authority. It ain't no drop off. Ain't no drop off. How you throwing everything at the same speed, same authority round 1 as you are throwing it round 12? It's bananas. It's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, you gotta watch that. You gotta watch it. Gotta watch it. So, but I mean, it was a difference. Rolly did some growing too, but he thought that he thought he was gonna throw that. He thought Rolly had it. He thought he seen what Esau Cruz did, and Rolly said it was due to the weight cut. Rolly was picked for a reason. Well, at least I can get Rolly out of there, and guess what? That left hook wasn't there. That jab wasn't there. That speed wasn't there. That conditioning wasn't there no more. Really, he was happy just to go 12. That's what he get. He can cry in the crowd he want to. He a bitch ass nigga. I kept telling y'all that. And that's the fact of the matter is. Real talk. But we'll see down the line what happens. But um shout out to Rolly. You know, but shout out to Rolly. He did what he had to do. He paid, and that if he had remained patient a lot through that tank fight. One moment of rushing, got him knocked out, and he learned from that. So Rolly looked a stronger fighter. Rolly punched hard the last night. He set up his shots a lot better. And Ryan ain't a great boxer neither. He not. So thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. The subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance of notifications. We go live and drop video. Financially, want to support the channel, Cash App, $ CJ Good 313, Venmo CJ Good 313, PayPal link description. The link tree, you can find me everywhere from X, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Appreciate the love, support. Peace.